So we'll have we're now hopefully in a world where you have a HTML document and you have something in your web browser which shows the HTML document.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So now we go to the Vue website, which is a very good website. There are lots of. I mean, I'm just going to kind of skim through the really basic stuff, but there's a lot more on here.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of cool stuff you can do, and it's all really well written. So all this stuff here is what's called the guide. So these are all kind of mini tutorials on how to get stuff done. There's also stuff like the API and the style guide and the cookbook, and they're all just basically the same information but presented differently. So you can really just pick the one that you like the best. All we care about now is we just want to go to this installation thing and click on it. And then we want to scroll down to this direct script include. And then below that, there's this CDN. This is hashtag CDN. And then it says, for prototyping or learning purposes, you can use the latest version with, and you just want to take this script tag and copy it at the end of your header.
What does CDN stand for, Rob?
Content delivery network. It doesn't matter. It's just CDN is just a way to deliver JavaScript files quickly. Again, this is not how this will work when we're actually doing the components, but this is the easiest way to get it set up for just learning stuff, because again, this is just a regular HTML file and we've just included Vue. And so, if you save the file after you've done that and you go back to it, you'll see that absolutely nothing has changed. What should happen. If something has changed, then I can't help you.
You said sorry that the live server updates automatically every time you save or something, or
yeah, it should do. So every time you save, say, look, and if I go hello Ben and Mark because you're the worst person, Dan, and I save, then even though I didn't hit F5, it just refreshes the page automatically.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's very sick.
It's quite nice if you just, like what I'm doing here is you can just dock your browser to your left hand side and your VS Code to the other side, and then you can just kind of like type along, and then when you save it, you see it automatically.
That's very nice. Very cool.
So this script import is not going to do anything other than get Vue up and running. This is quite a cool thing in of itself, because a lot of like the other JavaScript frameworks like React and Angular, you have to build them from this like npm way from the beginning, which can make them quite hard to understand if you're just like new to all this. The other cool thing you can do with VueJS that I'd recommend is making sure you have the browser extension installed for VueJS. So I actually don't have the browser extension installed on this computer. So all you type in is you go VueJS browser extension into Google. And then I'm on Firefox, so I'm going to go grab the Firefox one. But if you're on Chrome, it's this VueJS DevTools. So you just click on it. And then in my case, I'm in Firefox. I'm going to add it to Firefox. And then you get this V showing up in your corner when you've done it. So what you'll notice is that when you open up this the thing we've just installed, so even though it hasn't done it actually, that's odd.
I'm getting a good old Vue detected.
Yes, you'll get this Vue thing down here.
We come back to it.
So when you've got it installed, you'll also when you hit your F12 to get your developer stuff, there'll be one of these tabs. For you guys, it'll be slightly different because you're in Chrome, but then it's usually in this extra menu. There'll be a thing that says Vue, and you'll also see in the console that it prints out this: you are running Vue in development mode. Make sure to turn on production mode when deploying for production. So the first thing you might know about VueJS, of course, is it's a JavaScript framework. So what the whole thing that VueJS does, and the real power of it, is that it effectively has its own mini model of the website internally to Vue, which we can then manipulate in JavaScript, which is much easier to do than, for example, using vanilla JavaScript, where you have to do everything using DOM manipulations. Instead, we get this really nice Vue way of editing the site. And then what Vue does is that it makes sure that the site that the user sees is in sync with kind of our own internal model of the site.
Okay.
So one important thing to know with Vue is it is just JavaScript. So anything you can do in vanilla JavaScript, you can do in Vue. You can use full vanilla JavaScript inside of Vue. So you can use all your document.getElement by ID and all that stuff that use kind of just like standard. There's no like special things you need to do. It is just JavaScript at the end of the day, but it does do a lot of things that make our lives a lot easier. And you'll see that there are a lot of things that you could do in vanilla JavaScript, but Vue takes out a lot of the steps, and also just makes your code more robust as well at the same time. So to get started, you need to add in a script tag, and we're just going to program in between the script tag here. So to kind of motivate thinking about Vue, imagine if you wanted to change this "Hello Ben and Mark" message we've got here. At the moment in vanilla JavaScript, we'd have to do something kind of like document.getElementById app, and then we'd have to put this in a variable called like greeting, and then if we wanted to change it, we'd need to do greeting.innerHTML, and then you have to change it. But then you could see that these are kind of like there's quite a lot of steps even to do something quite simple. Say you wanted to make it say hello and you wanted to insert Dan into this, or you wanted to make it say just hello Ben and Dan and take out Mark. This could get you could end up having to write like quite a lot of JavaScript quite quickly. So when you use Vue, and there's this thing called template syntax, which we'll see very soon, it takes out a lot of the complication of having to kind of select things and doing all this stuff in what's called this is all called this kind of style of JavaScript is called imperative JavaScript, because what you have to do is for basically everything you want to select, you have to declare it in a variable. And so you can imagine if you had like an entire visualization, you could end up with like hundreds of these like variables being like document.getElementById, and it could just go out of control. So what hopefully we'll end up with Vue is you'll end up with more stuff being directly visible in the HTML, and you'll see how that works in like very soon.